Hello, everyone. This is Reverend Dr. Katie. I am so happy to be here with you again. And today we are talking about healing and about yoga. If you caught the first half of this before the video cut out, we're just going to do it again so you get a little freebie extra information and we will see what happens. Okay, so today we are talking about energy healing. I know a lot of you experience sometimes in churches, people that get really suspicious about energy healing, about chakras, right? They think that's a no-no. And this is really, really hysterical to me because Jesus was a healer, right? Like he uses his energy to help heal people. And in fact, he instructs the disciples right before his death and after his resurrection that they are supposed to go and do that too. He actually empowers them to be able to do that. So we don't know if the disciples did that in the same way that Jesus did, but we know that Jesus empowers us to be healers too. Sometimes healing can be as simple as listening to someone. It can be as simple as showing up at someone's major life event, at attending an end-of-life service for someone. And it can be as radical as using our energy to help shift the energy of someone else and of ourselves. We should be our own first patient. So we're actually called to shift our own energy before we can shift anyone else's energy. So that's what we're going to talk about just a little bit today. So let's start out with that yoga move again. And so this is a very simple yoga move. I'm going to invite you to do it with me. So hands open, if this is available to you. Just put them down by your side. We're simply going to raise our arms up with an inhale. If you can, touch your hands and back down on an exhale. Do that a few times on your own. And when you raise your hands up, just cultivate that energetic upward. You might even imagine your hands with light. And then when they go down, simply surrender. A few more times. So it's a very simple yoga move that you can do to help set your own energy. You can do that at any time. If you're driving or somewhere where you're in public and it's just not available to you, you can just do it in your mind's eye. Or if you have shoulder problems and that hands don't go that right way, no problem. Just simply take them up as far as they go and you can imagine them extending all the way up. If your elbows are straight, not straight, it doesn't matter. Just do it. So actually the thought and intention behind these moves is far more important than actually the technically correct pose. As long as you're doing it safely. Don't put your body in ways that it's supposed to go without sort of appropriate supervision there. So yoga is one form of shifting energy around in our lives that can be very, very effective. Those of you who are maybe not comfortable with yoga might want to use praise moves. So I know that's a Christian alternative, and I've not experienced that myself, but we would love to hear from those of you who do have experience with that. So when we talk about energy healing, there's lots of different forms. We have Reiki, we have earth energy, we have, I think, just even massage therapy is definitely its own form of energy healing. Even very simple things that we do in church, like singing together a hymn, can be really, really powerful form of energy healing. I know some of you are professional energy healers, and this is what you do for a living, or you do it out of the own goodness of your heart. Hands-on healing. So this is one thing that Jesus does, right? Jesus in the New Testament heals people by laying his hands on them. And as long as we do this in a safe, respectful, non-exploitative, non-sexual way, then we can also participate in energy healing. So I want to tell you a story. About 2 years ago, I made a CD. So I play the harp. So I made a CD with a friend and colleague who is a Reiki master, teacher, and healer. And I didn't have any Reiki credentials at the time, but I was providing the CD music, and she told me, what chakras we use and all that kind of stuff. So I designed all the music for it. So she came over and we were rehearsing, and she said, well, I need to practice something for when the CD is used for Reiki attunement. So I couldn't see what she was doing because you had to be a Reiki, I don't know what level you had to be to see the particular attunements and hand motions that she was doing. So this is a form of energy healing. So she went behind me and said, just play whatever it is that you're going to play at this moment in the CD. So I said, okay. So I started playing it. I do not know what she did. I still don't know exactly what she was practicing behind me, but the entire energy of my house completely shifted. It felt amazing. And so that took like 5-6 minutes. Her Reiki thing behind me. And when we were done, I turned to her and I said, can you come over every day and just do that to my house? And so we actually do have the ability to shift the energy of our house. So I'm going to give you a really easy way to do that. If you have any dead plants hanging around, it's time to either get them well or to toss them, right? So that's contributing to negative energy around your house. If you have nice green alive plants, that's great. That's contributing to positive energy. I can't keep a plant alive in my house to save my life. I have one that like refuses to die, like one of those vines. So I'm not saying you have to be like a green thumb to do this. I'm just saying if you got a dead plant, that's not great energy, right? So we don't have to do complicated things. We can do really, really simple things to help shift the energy in our own place. So those hands-on healing, though, really what I want us to know is that this has deep biblical roots. So I'm going to read you a story from the Gospel of Luke. I bet it's probably familiar to you, but I am going to read it to us anyway so we can hear the whole thing. So this is Luke chapter 8, and I'm starting with verse 40, and I'm reading out of the NRSV, the New Revised Standard Version, but any version you have will be just fine. This says, all right, my Bible. Now when Jesus returned, the crowd welcomed him, for they were all waiting for him. Just then there came a man named Jairus, a leader of the synagogue. He fell at Jesus' feet and begged him to come to his house, for he had an only daughter, about 12 years old, who was dying. As he went, the crowds pressed in on him. Now there was a woman who had been suffering from hemorrhages for 12 years, and although she had spent all she had on physicians, no one could cure her. She came up behind him and touched the fringe of his clothes, and immediately her hemorrhage stopped. Then Jesus asked, "Who touched me?" When all denied it, Peter said, "Master, the crowd surround you and press in on you." But Jesus said, "Someone touched me, for I noticed that power had gone out from me." When the woman saw that she could not remain hidden, she came trembling and falling down before him. She declared in the presence of all the people why she had touched him and how she had been immediately healed. He said to her, "Daughter, your faith has made you well. Go in peace." And of course, after that, he does go to the house of Jairus and he does heal Jairus' daughter, who had actually died. So this is an example to me of energy healing that Jesus uses, and he's even unaware of it, right? So this woman who maybe didn't have access to Jesus in this crowd and might have been considered unclean finds a way to access Jesus' own energy. There's a lot else going on in this story. My biblical scholar self could get all into the history and the nuances and like miracles in the ancient world. And there's a time and a place for that. But this is simply an illustrative moment for us now. Another really powerful way to shift your energy is to just drink water. Very grounding. So I recommend this. And if you have a fun Buffy glass, that can even make it a little more enjoyable, that process. So then in churches, when we sit down, we stand up, we sing together, all of those kind of actions, those are collectively cultivating and shifting energy. So really, this is nothing to be scared about. The energy work is a really powerful way that God has given us to be able to utilize energy and to transform it into ways that are healing for people. All right, so I see a question came in. Do you have to have music when you're energy healing? Oh, no, absolutely not. Music is a powerful energy shifter, but it's not necessary. It's kind of fun, when you find the music that works for you. And I think most music is innately healing in different styles, different strokes for different folks. Definitely not a prerequisite, but it's fun. So I will tell you that it's the vibrations of the music rather than the specific notes that are really important. And so actually people who do not hear can benefit from live music because the vibrations themselves are really, really healing. So I think scientifically there's a lot we have not yet discovered that we are discovering little by little about this. But I know when I play the harp, if I have someone come and stand next to it, it's a much more powerful experience than if they're across the room or if it's on a CD. Those are beneficial too, but when they can really feel the vibrations in their own body, their healing is facilitated at a much, much faster rate. And so I have lots of examples of that, but when I can convince people to actually sit down at my harp, whether or not they play a musical instrument in their whole lives, and they sit there and play it, every person that's ever done it has said they start playing it and then they say, oh my gosh, this is so cool. Oh my gosh, I feel the vibrations in my body, right? And those vibrations are really, really healing. And so I say any tool that's at our disposal, we should use, because that's actually being faithful to Jesus' command to be healers, right? We get to participate in the walk of Jesus in healing the masses. And we start with ourselves. Right? We always start with ourselves. So this is the kind of work that I love to specialize in, and I love to do chakra kind of like readings on people and help shift the energy of your chakras, including my own. I have to start with myself. And I know when I've been doing that for people lately, they often tell me they feel tingling, kind of do an intuitive reading. They feel tingling, they feel energy shifting around inside themselves. And something as simple as maybe your throat energy is really blocked. So what are some things you need to voice in your life in order to get that energy unstuck? Sometimes it's just as simple as that. And then we can say, what's on our mind, right? What have we not been saying that we need to say? Or what have we been saying too much of? What kind of no's have we been telling ourselves over and over and over? And we can just simply shift that energy. So everything we do is energy, including our thoughts, including our prayers. So when we pray, I actually really encourage people when they pray to say what they do want, not what they don't want. So if we tell ourselves, no, 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 not, over and over, that can shift our energy in kind of weird ways. Rather, we work with God in our prayer life to listen and then to facilitate what we want to have happen. And that's a really powerful shift that's very easy to make in our own prayer life. And so that's just a few examples of the way we use energy all the time as Christians. But our word for energy is prayer, right? Our word for energy is community. Our word for energy is liturgy. And those are all really powerful ways that we to help shift not only ourselves, but our communities, our churches, our friends, our world that needs this radical healing. So imagine if everyone in the world is participating in shifting energy in these radical ways, how cool it can be. And so we start with ourselves and we move outwards. So if you are ready to start with yourself, private message me. I can give you some more tips on how to do that. And we are going to be talking later in the week with one of our energy healers in the group. I'm not going to tell you who just yet. I'm going to save that to be a little surprise later on. So we'll be posting about that. I would love to hear from those of you who are energy healers and tell us a little bit more about what you do so that we can tap into that. So this is our general overview, and we will get more specific later on. If you have questions in the meantime, just reach out to me. You can private message me. You can email me. I am here to serve you. Let me know how I can serve you more and better. So it's wonderful to talk to you, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.